Well, today we've got Michelle Tilgham. Is that the way you pronounce
Yes,
it?
Tilgham, yes.
Tilgham, from Georgia. And Michelle is one of the original integrative vets in America, and I guess, like I am, one of the founders in Australia, practicing acupuncture and holistic therapies for some time. Would you like to just tell us a little bit about what therapies and what type of integrative medicine you use and why you use it?
I definitely have an integrative practice where I incorporate everything that I've learned with acupuncture, traditional Chinese herbs. I'm a physio in your terms, which I am a certified canine rehabilitation. I do a combination of chiropractic with osteopathic. I also will incorporate different type of techniques, massage techniques, and skeletal work that I've learned throughout the years, along with good diagnostic Western medicine, because it all goes together.
So it does.
Yes.
Yeah. So is your practice a primary access one, or a secondary, or referral only, or how does your practice work?
I think my practice is a lot like yours, Elaine, where I'm pretty well a specialty practice, where I attract the animals that have been to the other specialty practices, and there's usually not much hope. Always the cancer patient, the geriatric, usually the normal age, like on a day that I just worked before I came, the normal age of the animal was 14 years old. So definitely the multi-system dysfunctions, organ systems that they want quality of life.
And I was reading your notes before that I think you're giving us tomorrow.
Okay.
And I see that you do a lot with nutrition and diet and supplements.
Oh,
Would
absolutely.
you like to maybe elaborate a little bit about what you find and what's working?
I find that anytime that we have to work with an animal for health, there is your nutrition, then there is therapeutic nutrition. And definitely making food more digestible, especially in the geriatric animal, looking at the combination of what vitamins and minerals need to be used. Also taking animals from a very processed diet, that is the extruded basic type of diet that most of our dry food is. Even though in the States right now, the dog food industry is listed, and we have much higher quality dog food than we used to, but still, and it's canned and dried and processed into a more natural type of foods. I've actually incorporated a whole line of very nice dehydrated food that they just add hot water to, so it's easy to be able to upgrade their nutrition, because any of the guys, first thing that we really do is we talk about we've got to eat better.
And hydration is so important.
Oh, yes.
There were some studies in the UK in a nursing home where they instituted a glass of water every 2 hours that everyone had to have, because basically you lose your sense of a little bit of taste, so you want more sugar as you get older, and thirst. The thirst goes. So, you know, as you know, the bones and the joints in particular need to be hydrated to move. And so all of these geriatric patients in the nursing home improved, and they're out there gardening. It's like, you know, the youthful vitamin, just water, just getting people hydrated. So adding water to the dehydrated food sounds like an excellent idea to get them up and going again.
And I'm always talking about adding chicken broth and making them hydrate, because the most holistic thing there is fluids. It's food and fluids.
Yeah. And our soils in Australia, you may not know, are very old. So we are very selenium deficient in this country.
Okay.
So our glutathione and all those enzymatic processes that need selenium as a trace mineral just don't work as well. So the aging process can happen quite quickly as they start to lose all those trace minerals. So we do need to add them, and that can be a problem with our fresh foods here. So we often do need to point out that they need minerals and vitamins in addition to just raw meat and bones.
And I think every place, and as we look in Chinese medicine, every climate and every place has different deficiencies or different type of excesses.
That's right. And going to that point, you know how some animals can be like yin deficient.
Yes.
For instance, even as we age, we often lose our yin energy. So,
Yes.
and the yin is the air conditioner of the body. So you get like the hot head, like women going into menopause, they get the hot flushes. And we see that a lot in the cats as well as they age, don't they? So,
All the time.
yeah.
Hyperthyroidism is rampant.
Exactly. So it's really hot, and they're panting
And they have that internal body heat. And I laugh because people say, I keep the air conditioner at 68 and they're still panting. I'm like, it has nothing to do with that.
Not Australian.
Not Australian.
So we're talking about 20 degrees centigrade, which is coolish. Yeah.
Very
yeah,
cool,
yeah,
rather than
yeah.
being...
and they're still hot.
And they're still hot.
Yeah.
So because it's all
Because
has to
they're
do...
yin deficient.
They're
Yeah.
very yin
Yeah.
deficient.
And so do you feed a yin diet for them to help
yes.
support the yin? Yeah.
Yes.
And there's particular foods that you would choose to add into the menu for those animals. Yes, we do
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
It's
So
awesome.
looking at the food therapy and Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
Always looking at that, and because we do have more extremes, I think, where I am, because it does get cold and it does get hot.
Right.
So yin foods and yang foods.
Yeah.
So I'm always
Yeah.
talking, and also like we were talking about earlier about skin dogs, looking at the hot dog and being able to use different foods to help cool them and different type properties of meat.
Yeah. Do you find sweet potato as part of that diet? Things that grow in the ground?
I use a lot of sweet potato. I use a lot of pumpkin.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
definitely. And we have different type of large squashes.
Yeah, you
They're
do.
butternut
Your
squashes.
pumpkins are amazing too.
Oh, yeah.
I must say, Halloween over there is something.
Huge.
Yes, you
But
can
we
sit
have
on them.
butternut squashes,
Yeah.
acorn squashes, all these
Yeah.
solid squashes that
Yeah.
we tend to use too because
Yeah.
they're really good. And you know, I have to laugh after many years, like you, I have been practicing this type of medicine. That as you evolve, I've always talked about using sweet potatoes and more fiber and more vegetables, but now the nutrition people are now, they gave it a word, prebiotic.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, I laughed. I
Yes.
go, oh, now I
That's
have a
what
word
we've
for
been
this.
doing for so many. It's so funny because all of our integrated vets that have been doing this for 30 years, we're seeing the rest of them catching up. So we've been talking about over-vaccination for more than 30 years. And the thing about the vaccination industry is it's really based on money and not on science. And so puppies and kittens do need their first few shots so that their immune system can cope if they do come in contact with a flu, something that they can vaccinate against. But of course, what seems to happen is that the drug companies say, well, it's not harmful, so just give it every year. But there was no science that said you needed to vaccinate every year. And I think the holistic vets and the integrated vets are the ones that recognized that they were having some problems. So if you don't need to do something, and if it might cause harm, then don't do it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have approved 3-year vaccines.
And we do too now,
Okay.
only the last 3 years or so. But
Okay.
the thing about the 3-year vaccine is it's really no different to the other vaccines, and 3 years was just a made-up quantity of time. So speaking to Martin Day, who came around, the senior immunologist from London, he basically pointed out to the vets as he travelled around that the 3-year vaccine was just pulled out of a hat to give it 3 years, but they did the data on it. So getting it a BPMA approved, actually getting a drug approved, is not the same as efficacy. So you have to go through all the paperwork and pay money to the government to get this thing registered. But who's going to do the study for 20 years to prove that the vaccine will last to a 20-year-old dog?
What
it's
they
about titer testing, really.
It is Dr. Schwartz at the university.
Schultz.
Ron Schultz.
Yeah,
yes.
that's right.
And we've actually
dogs together.
have got a fund in the States that is doing rabies challenges.
Yeah, 'cause we don't have rabies here.
Yes,
You know that?
yes,
so we
so we
don't
have-
have to do that. We've only got to do distemper hepatitis and parvo in the dogs.
But we have the rabies, and we're actually holding colonies of dogs,
Yes.
and then challenging them at 5
With
years
rabies, wow.
and 7.
That's
I mean,
a test.
we're really working on that to be
Yeah,
able,
and then check.
because most of us are pushed because it's a legal thing to be able to do a vaccine, and I have a very hard time doing a 3-year rabies or even a 1-year rabies on a 14-year-old dog.
Right.
But it is in my area. I mean, it is a real thing.
So it's a legal thing you have to
I
give
have
it.
to do. I legally
And
have to give it.
Is it true you have to give it distally, like in the distal ring?
because of the fibrosarcoma and stuff, they talk about that. I never had a fibrosarcoma, of course, in the dog, maybe in a cat. But I also break up my vaccines, and I use other things after the vaccine to make sure I don't have any type of reaction.
That's awesome. Is that Thuya and vitamin E?
I use mostly Thuya, and I will also use the homeopathic Lysin,
Yes.
which is the homeopathic rabies,
Yes.
after my rabies
I
vaccines.
took that after I had my rabies vaccine.
Yes, I wish I had it.
Yeah.
I had my rabies vaccines when they were proving the human vaccine in the 80s in Georgia, of course.
I helped start Vets Beyond Borders many years ago with my friend Catherine Schutze, and so we were going to a rabies area in India. So I had the 3 injections, and my husband's a doctor, and he actually didn't want me to go, so he didn't give me the vaccine. And it was going to cost me mega hundreds of dollars to get it. So I actually got him to write a script, went to the chemist who got it in for me, and I asked her if she had adrenaline for injection. And she said yes, and she was my son's friend's mother. And I said, okay, so if I fall down, will you give me the adrenaline shot? So I just said, okay, good. And so I vaccinated myself. Got it done, took the lysine, took the vitamin E, took the thing. But this is the thing, people sometimes think that vaccines are completely harmless, and they're not, which is why I did blog about this in naturopathvet.com. So that's naturopath and vet, all one word.com, and there's quite a long blog about vaccinology. So I'd like to emphasize that we're not against vaccines, we're for vaccines, but we're for vaccines that are needed in the area at the time that it's needed, and not an excessive amount of vaccines, which can cause some problems because of the aluminum in there and the formaldehyde. And a lot of vaccines have some red dye, which is chlorine dye, and the thimerosal, which is a mercury compound. And so we know that these things are toxic, and there is no safe dose for, you don't need aluminum in your brain. So just before we go, would you be able to talk about maybe 1 or 2 miracle cases that you were treating that really surprised you, maybe early on in your journey? Now it probably happens a lot and you just don't think too much about it, but maybe the things that really turned you on, maybe?
I laugh. I take a quote from Steve Marsden, who's a Canadian U.S. vet. That is wonderful. He goes, "The case dispenser in the sky."
In the sky gets to you. Yes.
I love it, and I think the things that always are wonderful to me, and it was Sasha, and she was a Rottweiler, and I was on the way to physical therapy school when she went down with the cervical disc. So this dog went down with a cervical disc, and they're pleading for us to treat it, but I'm at the University of Tennessee. So she comes out of her surgery, and she's pretty well tetraplegic, quadriplegic. I have footage of this, very good footage. So with our work, and with be able to build the ability between the acupuncture, the underwater treadmill, the PT, this dog gained the ability to walk and run around.
It's so rewarding.
So that's, and her children loved her. I think the saddest day is when she had a sarcoma, and I couldn't even be there, and when we had to let her go.
The family, their dog, for some time. Yeah.
Oh, and years.
Yeah.
We gave her back her mobility.
Yeah.
So those are the dogs that I always love, is the dogs that can't walk, especially a golden retriever came in, long diagnosis, which I didn't agree with. I think he had more of a cervical disc.
They're often missed,
yeah,
those ones,
I think, and then 90 days later, he is being totally normal.
We have this thing called the God factor.
Yeah.
Too. And I had a physiotherapy therapist work at my surgery. I taught animal massage. I know still do. There was a little dog that was running in the park, and he fell into a bit of a ditch, and he must have done something to his neck. So he went to the specialist, and there he got a prognosis that surgery probably wouldn't work. They couldn't really see anything. And he came in. I used essential oils as well as remedial massage and acupuncture. So the dog came in, paralyzed. He'd been carrying this dog for 3 months.
Oh God, the
Out to the garden, onto the. I just did a few things, a little bit of osteopathic. The dog got up, shook, and walked.
That is like.
I know. It's like I don't
thank
believe
you.
it. I don't believe it. I know, but those are the really. That's why we do what we do.
Yes, every day.
And you feel things, and it's so really obvious to us because we've been trained with our hands, and most other vets that have not trained with using their hands kind of go, oh, no, nothing there, or nothing on X-ray. So
Right, and so it's not there. So you palpate the cervical disc, and you palpate, and you can feel, you can absolutely feel where it is, and that is one of the most painful discs.
Yes.
And to be able in 1 or 2 treatments to get the animal back
To
pain-free,
release the trigger points and the tightness.
and the dogs are like,
Yeah.
thank you.
And having had some discs in my own back, L4 and L5 S1, last year, at the same time, I thought I was dying. I thought I'd have to sell my practice and go and hibernate. and I had to remedial treat myself. And so I got one of these inverting tables
Oh yes.
with the ankle straps. And pretty much every half hour, I needed to strap myself up and hang upside down to stretch
To
it
give
out
the,
again.
to open those
Yeah,
disc
to open
spaces.
it up. Yep, and I did that, and then swimming on my back. And in 3 months, pretty good. But
Well,
I thought I would die.
I broke my
Yeah.
back, compression fracture, when I was in my 20s.
Wow. So you
And
know
I
what that's
think
like.
that, life happens, but it also has shown me how I can stay as mobile and as busy and be able to do everything I want to do, but get good care.
And look at yourself.
Yeah.
And the other thing I've found in my journey, and I think you might have something to say about this, I had a lot of stresses, and I now recognize them in the little white fluffies with the separation anxiety and how their hormones go out. So the cortisol stress syndrome
Yes.
that makes your thyroid go to ground. So with me, my mother had a stroke, and for 8 years I was looking after her a bit, and those stresses led to Hashimoto's thyroiditis and hypothyroidism. So I've now figured out what to do with that as well. And I recognise the hypothyroidism in the dogs. And often I'll have cases come to me and I'll ask for all the history, I always do. And often on the blood levels you'll see, pretty much normal. Maybe the ALT is up a bit. The T4 might be, say, less than 10.
Yes.
And there's and I say to the NSO who did the previous vet, had the dog on a thyroid supplement, and they're going, no. So I think it's missed because it's down the bottom of it, or that maybe they just don't know what to do with it.
I'm always looking. We have a test, equilibrium dialysis,
Yeah.
and I check that, and I also check autoantibodies.
Yeah,
I
and
have
so
all that.
hardly anybody checks autoantibodies. And
Yes.
with humans, as a naturopath,
Oh, yeah.
I found that that's where you need to go. And in the human profession, the doctors just look at TSH. And you can actually have a normal TSH and have really high autoantibodies and reverse T3, so your T3 is cooling and not being a useful thing. Unfortunately, to do all those tests, and I tell all my clients this with the dogs and cats, so to find out really a good thyroid function, we need a T3, T4, reverse T3, autoantibodies, and TSH, and really that's about $500 to $700, and it takes.
Ooh,
but
okay.
here we do the T4 routinely for about $70, $80, and that helps a lot. And so if it's low, or say it's low normal, and they've got, so as our friend Dr. Shea says, 3 things makes a diagnosis. Yeah. So if they look, smell, and sound like it, so they've gained weight and they can't lose the weight, and they're on a reasonable diet that they shouldn't be gaining the weight, and they've got coat signs, and the T4 is below normal, to me that's a diagnosis. And that's where we go, because we don't often have $700 spare dollars to work up a T4.
And sometimes it's easier to put them on meds and watch the response too.
Yeah, and so I'll use glandular thyroid.
Oh, yes,
to get
always.
that in, and that seems to help a lot. And then look after the stress factor. So we tend to use methane and adrenal tonics.
Yes.
Because it's really the cortisol thing that's making the thyroid go to ground, and the diet. Take gluten out. So that happens a lot. Yeah.
And we're very lucky now because most of our, I would say, our intelligent owners and owners of animals are definitely looking at the gluten-frees. And we have the whole lines of grain-free. But we do have grains that are good, in the States, and some of the food with the millet and some of the...
Spelt, maybe?
Yes. Spelt.
Spelt.
What is spelt?
It's another type of grain,
Okay.
and sometimes it seems to be a reasonable sort of grain. Yeah, we found that the glyphosate is coming through in the wheat industry. So when we were buying our flours, they actually use the glyphosate, which is Roundup ready, to make the wheat ripen, and it gets rid of the weeds. And so the Roundup Ready wheat comes with glyphosate. And the problem, according to Dr. Seneff, who works at MIT, has found that the gut biome is affected by the glyphosate, which causes leaky gut, and that's why you get the molecular mimicry, which allows the gluten and the gliadin proteins to go through the gut into the bloodstream. And the molecules look a little bit like thyroid tissue, and so the body makes autoantibodies, and then it attacks your thyroid. And it seems that when we're stressed, we really like carbohydrates.
Oh yes. Oh, absolutely.
And so that's where we eat more of the gluten type products, and gluten is in everything as well. And so you're getting a little bit of glyphosate quite often. It really bothers me that the food industry has had to go that way, or thinks they have to go that way, and probably they don't, if they can be a little bit more organic thinking about how they grow things. And possibly food would cost more, but we need to be looking at what we're doing to our environment, because everybody, I mean, the rate of cancer now compared to when I graduated in 1980, it's huge. Pretty much we're looking at 99% of the population is going to get cancer of some sort. That's dogs, cats, humans.
Everything. No, we have a very big movement, Eat Local.
Yeah, that's a great
You know, we have Eat Local
backyard.
and cooperative farming.
That's great. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but I want to thank you for asking me here to Australia to be a speaker, and I'm enjoying myself.
It's
yes,
wonderful.
this is wonderful.
Having you. Yes.
It's fun.
Our integrative group, we're all family, all around the world.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
we're all
Elaine and I were in
understanding.
China together,
We were,
and we've been
That was
other
a great
places.
trip. That was a wonderful trip. Yeah, we really enjoyed that. I really liked how the areas that we went to in China, I think that my impression of China was quite different to what it was really like when we were there. And just going out to the country and how everybody was clean and cooperative families and more of a teamwork sort of thing. And that was really enjoyable. And I think a lot of people in the Western world think that if you buy in a product from China, it's suspicious and it might not be any good. And so from now what I know is there's organic farms in China, not in Beijing,
No.
but the country is very big, and so you can buy good product from China, and it's quite safe. And now we have a lot of inspectors from the Western world that's importing these products, and they go out and they check the process. So our Chinese herbs and things are actually very good and very good quality and quite safe. And it does add that other armament to how we can treat our patients safely and effectively. And I just love how Chinese medicine it's miraculous. One thing I did want to mention, because I teach some of the vet students at the local university about once a year or so, and I try and add value to their knowledge base, and so that when they get anything in renal failure, they need to be looking at Romania glutinosa. I tell them to go to PubMed, look it up.
Yes.
Renal failure is ameliorated with Romania glutinosa, and it's a very simple formula that most Chinese people know about. So Liu Wei Di Huang 1, and it's the Romania 6 formula. So if you know nothing about Chinese herbal medicine or any other medicine, when your animals are getting old and they're starting to have some kidney problems, first check the teeth, make sure there's no problem there, because pussy teeth are going to wreck your kidneys.
Always.
And stick them on Liu Wei Di Huang 1 for the rest of their life. I've reversed so many renal failure cases that other clinics have said, particularly in cats, one tiny little pill once or twice a day for life. I've had many that were like, oh, you probably aren't going to live a few more weeks. You have to look at least 3 years later, still going. So, you know, everyone should have some knowledge of Romania glutinosa.
We even now have a company that has made it into little Romania chews.
That's awesome.
That are made so they're cat friendly.
Like fish flavored.
And they've got all sorts of good herbs, but Romania is the top one.
What is the company?
Vitra Science.
Okay.
So where they have a whole line of kidney
That's
chews,
tasty stuff.
and they're great. So we have for cardiac, and we have the kidney renal essentials. And I laugh because
we've been doing it for so long.
yeah, and I order. I think Romania 6 is the top herb
It's a fantastic
that we use because of all the kidney problems.
Yeah, that's right. And it's really like the anti-aging formula too, isn't it? Okay, thank you so
thank you.
much. That
It's
was
great.
lovely.